Let's be honest, torts class can feel like you're trying to find your way through a maze completely in the dark. But what if I told you there's a map? Well, in the next few minutes, I'm going to give you that exact map, a simple, clear roadmap to master the core concepts and absolutely ace that exam.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the big picture, the torts landscape. Then we'll dive deep into your roadmap for intentional torts, check out torts against property, and cover the key defenses you have to know. We'll wrap it all up with the mega important negligence formula. Let's get into it.
So, first things first, we can't really navigate the map if we don't know what we're looking for, right? So what is a tort, anyway? At its heart, a tort is really just a civil wrong. Now, it's not a crime. We're not talking about jail time here. It's when one person's action, or even their failure to act, causes harm to someone else. And because of that harm, the courts say, yep, you can sue for damages. You'll see that almost every single tort is built on these three fundamental pillars. It all starts with a voluntary act. So we're not talking about something like a seizure. It has to be a choice. Then you've got intent, which we're going to get into. And finally, causation. There has to be a direct line connecting that act to the harm. All right, let's move on to intentional torts. This is where the person causing the harm actually does it on purpose. And believe me, this category has a bunch of specific rules you just have to memorize. Okay, 7 of them. I know what you're thinking. How in the world am I supposed to remember all of these, especially with the clock ticking on an exam? Don't worry, I got you. There is a super simple, incredibly effective tool that's going to make this a total breeze. Say hello to your new best friend for the torts exam, BAFFTTC. Seriously, BAFFTTC. I want you to burn this into your brain because once you have this down, you've basically unlocked the first major piece of the entire torts puzzle. So, what does our secret code stand for? It's simple. Battery, assault, false imprisonment, and for the second F, just think fear. It's a little cheat code to help you remember intentional infliction of emotional distress. And then we have our 3 property torts: trespass to land, trespass to chattels, and conversion. See, you've got all 7 right there. Okay, let's break down B for battery. Now, this isn't just about throwing a punch. It's any intentional contact that's either physically harmful or is just offensive to a reasonable person. And here's the wild part. The person who was touched doesn't even have to know it happened at the time for it to be battery. Now, this idea of intent is super important, and it comes from a classic case called Garrett v. Daly. Intent isn't just about wanting to hurt someone. It's also about knowing with substantial certainty that your action is going to cause contact. Think about it. If you pull a chair out from under someone as they're about to sit, you might not want them to break their arm, but you're pretty darn certain they're going to hit the floor. That's intent. And listen up, because here's a pro tip. The law is smart. It's got this clever little doctrine called transferred intent. So if you try to hit person A, but you miss and accidentally hit person B, well, your intent doesn't just disappear. Nope, it just transfers right over from your target to your actual victim. Now for the last 3 letters in our mnemonic, TTC. This is where we move into the world of torts against property. Basically, this is all about intentionally messing with someone else's stuff. The 2 big ones here are trespass to chattels and conversion. And the main difference is just the degree of, well, meddling. Here's the easiest way to think about it. If you borrow your friend's laptop for a day without asking and accidentally spill some coffee on it, that's a trespass to chattels. It's a minor interference. But if you take it and sell it, that's conversion. It's so significant, the law basically says, you bought it. Okay, so what if the plaintiff proves it? They've checked all the boxes for an intentional tort. Is it case closed? Not so fast. The game isn't over yet because the defendant can still win if they have a valid defense. These are the big 4 defenses you absolutely have to have in your back pocket. First, did the plaintiff consent to it, kind of like a boxer stepping into the ring? Second, was the defendant just protecting themselves, self-defense? Third, were they using reasonable force to protect their property? And finally, was the act a necessity? Like, did they have to commit this smaller tort to prevent a way bigger disaster? All right, let's switch gears completely. We're moving away from things people do on purpose and into the world of, well, accidents. This is negligence, and it has its own strict 4-part formula that you have to follow every single time. And I cannot stress this enough. This is so critical. The person suing for negligence has to prove every single one of these 4 elements. If they miss one, just one, their whole case falls apart. Boom, done.
Okay, I want you to burn these 4 words into your memory. Duty, breach, causation, damages. Say them with me. Duty, breach, causation, damages. Every single negligence analysis you ever write has to walk through these 4 steps in this exact order. This is the whole framework.
Now for that second element, breach, it's all judged by what we call the reasonable person standard. The law doesn't really care what was going on in the defendant's head. Nope. It asks a simple, objective question. What would a reasonably careful person have done in that same situation? If the defendant's actions fell short of that, that's your breach.
All right, let's get tactical for a second. Pure exam strategy. When you're studying and briefing cases, use FRIRAC. Facts, issue, rule, application, conclusion. But when you're in the exam writing that essay, you don't have time to restate all the facts. Just jump right into the good stuff with IRAC. Issue, rule, application, conclusion.
And if you take away only one thing from this whole breakdown, please let it be this. This is the secret weapon. To get the best possible grade on your analysis, you have to connect the rule to the facts using one magic word, because. For example, don't just say the defendant breached his duty. Say the defendant breached his duty because he was driving 80 miles per hour on an icy road, an act no reasonable person would do. See the difference?
So there you have it. That's your roadmap. BAFT for intentional torts and duty, breach, causation, damages for negligence. This isn't just about passing a test, right? It's a whole new way to look at the world around you. So now that you have the map, what wrongs do you see differently out there in the real world?